Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Billy Williams with Inspire Nation Business Mentoring. Today, we're going to discuss postal mail, how to make it more effective. I spend a lot of money every year on marketing the different agencies within the group. And so we wanted to share our research with you, show you what's working, what's not working, based on what we know to be factual. Let me read my disclaimer. Dr. Billy Williams is sharing his knowledge, wisdom, expertise, experience, and opinions throughout this webinar. The disclaimer wording below applies to Dr. Williams, Williams Family Investment Group, and Inspire Nation Business Mentoring. Dr. Williams is an investor and business mentor, not an attorney, legal firm, or an accountant. He can discuss generalities and recommendations for using Inspire Nation business mentoring processes in ways that are consistent with his understanding of the law. His training and mentoring suggestions are not a substitute for you obtaining competent, specific legal advice on any of the subjects covered in the opinions, training, scripting, and implementation of process suggestions. In some cases, there may be federal, state, or local laws, as well as specific carrier guidelines that may alter, impact, enhance, or supersede the way Inspire Nation teaches and recommends a process. Our training does not address these issues. Again, specific legal advice should be sought to ensure compliance. Now, many businesses burn through money when it comes to using postal mail when marketing their business. And I even hear people say, I don't use postal mail. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. Guys, we are in the insurance industry. It is probably the most competitive industry out there. So that means you have to utilize everything. You can't be snobbish about what you want to do and what you don't want to do when it comes to marketing. Because again, if we're looking at let's say the captive side of the house, you guys are only closing somewhere between 10 and 15%. That means 85 to 90% of every person who walks in your agency walks out without your product. So how can you be picky or snobbish about the type of marketing that you do? You can't. You have to have a well-rounded multi-channel marketing approach. Same thing with my independent guys and my niche guys, maybe your Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage or benefits. You have a certain close ratio, and understanding that ratio is important because it determines at the end of the day how you spend your money. Okay, what's effective and what's not effective. Mailing still has a place in our marketing tool bag. Let me say that one more time. Postal mail still has a place in our marketing tool bag. So we're going to share information and best practices that we've picked up over the years. Topics we will cover include why postal mail should be a part of your marketing efforts, who you should mail, what types of postal mail work best, what elements increase the response rate of postal mail, what are the best call to actions when using postal mail, and what additional marketing campaigns should you combine with postal mail to make your overall marketing more effective. Why should you use postal mail? Guys, consumers are saturated with digital marketing methods such as email, social networking, and internet ads. And they oftentimes are numb to the messages now because they see them everywhere. If you use postal mail, that allows you to do a custom mailing list. This allows you to select the customer criteria that meets your needs as a business, and it allows you to individualize and segment your mailing based on possible upcoming events or needs. What do I mean by all that fancy wording? If I want to sell life insurance, I'm going to sell it around somebody's birthday who's probably under the age of 55 or someone who just had a child. If I want to sell auto insurance, it's going to be around the time you're renewing your auto insurance. If I'm going to sell homeowners insurance, it's around the time you either first purchased your homeowners insurance or around the time you're renewing your homeowners insurance. If I want to sell extra coverage, like maybe jewelry coverage, or I want to sell riders that are specific to items or products that are more valuable, then guess what? I'm probably going to do it around a wedding anniversary. I'm going to do it around a time of Valentine's Day or something like that. So it allows you to select the customer criteria that best meets your needs as a business, and it allows you to individualize and segment your mailing based on a possible upcoming event or need. And then you can also do it by geographic mailing. You know, the U.S. Postal Service has this Every Door Direct, which we've been using a lot of, and it allows us to just saturate an area. I pick a zip code, and we saturate that zip code. What you have to understand, guys, the most important thing that you can have is a call to action. So your call to action will determine, first and foremost, if someone is going to respond. If they're not going to respond to this, if they're not going to pick up the phone, or they're not going to call you, or they're not going to text message you or do any of that, then your mailing was pretty much a waste of time. And in my opinion, the number one problem that most people run into is they've got a weak call to action. Okay. But there are plenty of reasons you should use postal mail. Some that I don't even have listed here are you need a multi-channel approach. You just can't assume that someone sees you once and that's it. Oh, they're just going to jump all over me and they're going to want to come buy my insurance or buy my product or buy my. Let's talk about the top 5 prospect types you should mail. And we're going to go insurance agent specific. If you are not in the insurance business, that's fine. You just modify this for your specific profession or what you do every day. Number 1, contacts that have requested information or a quote and you believe they are still insurance shopping. So if you bought internet leads and those internet leads cost you, 15, 20, 25 bucks, why would you not spend 50 cents and mail out the quote? That I never quite got that part of it. I know a lot of folks won't. They're like, well, I already spent $15. Then spend $15.50. Okay, mail out that quote because you don't know how that person is going to react or what type of marketing is going to trigger them to take an action. Yes, I know they did it online. That could have been a 2 o'clock in the morning thing. That could have been a middle of the day thing at work, and they just didn't have time to react. So now you're calling and emailing and calling and emailing and calling and emailing, and all that's fine and dandy. But at the end of the day, maybe they're not reacting to that. So contacts that have requested information or a quote and you believe that they're still insurance shopping. That's number 1. Number 2, contacts that are 75 days or closer to their upcoming insurance. This is why it's so important, guys, that you X date. Okay, I know a lot of you aren't. You're just putting your quotes in the system and you're forgetting about them. No, X date them. And if you're not sure when their actual policy is coming up for renewal, use the date that they were shopping. So if I got a lead today or they called into the agency today and I sell a 6-month policy, I'm just going to create an X date for 6 months from now. If it's a 1-year policy, I'm going to create an X date 1 year from now. Do I know that that's accurate? No, but I know this is around the time they were shopping. So at least I'm in the ballpark. Number 3, contacts that have a possible upcoming need for your product, such as an upcoming or recent birthday. Birthdays are a great time, guys, to reach out to folks. I mean, for life insurance, for homeowners insurance, for benefits, specialty items, it's a great time to reach out. And it's something that's every year. So you don't have to wonder or figure, when is that going to happen? Oh, I know it's going to happen, so let me send something out to them. An X date, which we talked about earlier. If there's a new baby in the house, maybe the current carrier took a rate increase. And this is another thing that, as we talk about mailing things, and you don't want to waste money and just throw a whole bunch of stuff out there a lot of times. If you're not keeping up with what carriers you're quoting, you're doing your agency a disservice. Let me say that first and foremost. If you're not keeping up with the carriers that you're quoting against, you're doing your agency a disservice. So if XYZ Insurance takes a 20% rate increase, I just want to go in and pull everyone who I quoted XYZ Insurance, and I'm going to mail them out a quote, and I'm going to call them, and I'm going to email them. I'm going to do all those things. I'm going to make a custom audience in Facebook, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to throw that out there as well, because I have to have a multi-channel approach. If they bought a home in the last year, new movers, people that just moved in, etc. Of course, there's geographic mailing, and again, you can use tools such as Every Door Direct Mail by the U.S. Postal Service, and it averages out to about 18 cents a piece, I think is what it comes out to when we did our mailing. And then, of course, any niche mailing. Maybe there's something specific that you're looking for, a specific income or age or job title or a certain profession that you want to mail to. But your top 5, as we look at this is so important, because if you don't know who your top 5 people are to mail, then you're just going to throw a bunch of mail out there, and then you're going to come back and say mailing sucks. It doesn't work. Well, no, you didn't do everything you were supposed to do to make it work, to make it more effective. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to look at some response rates. What is a response rate? A response rate means that the person took an action, whether they logged into something, whether they clicked onto something, whether they called me or text messaged me or did whatever. We're going to look at a response rate, and that's what you should measure when you're mailing. What did this person do? A lot of people want to measure how many sales did I get. You know what? Here's the deal. You know your close ratio. You know your carriers. And if you put the pressure on your staff or on yourself to say, I need to get 7 deals out of this mailing, that may not be realistic for you at this moment because it could be a price issue, it could be a product issue, it could be where you market it to. You could went to an area where your agent or your carriers want great credit and you market it in a bad area. So we don't track the sales from that standpoint. Of course, we always know our sales, but we don't track that as the major piece. What I track is, did we do it? First and foremost, did we get the marketing out there? Second of all, what was the response rate? Because I can always change certain things in the middle of the process if I know what people are responding to. So that's why we're talking about response rates. There are 3 types of marketing messages. There's a general marketing, meaning there's nothing unique about the message, nothing specific to the customer. You're just blasting out some stuff. You captive guys are phenomenal at that kind of stuff, man. You guys will mail out 1,000,000 pieces that look generic as all get out. Okay, I'm not trying to dog out the captive guys. It's just that's what it is. Your carriers they have to look at what's economical, and what's economical is let's just make a template and blast that template out. Then there's general marketing with a prior relationship. So the agent or agency has communicated in the past with the prospect, and this could be a current customer or prospect, someone that you've mailed or emailed in the past, or someone that you're connected to through social networking. You have some type of relationship with them, a former customer, somebody like that. You have a prior relationship. And then there's specific marketing or personalized information and message. This is when the agent or agency has created their marketing piece specifically for the customer or the prospect, or the marketing material addresses a specific situation that the customer or prospect is going through, is about to go through, or has gone through in the past. And some personalized information is sent out as a part of that marketing material. So let's get into the numbers, and then we'll get more into that piece about what's personalized and what's not. So we're looking at email, letter, large envelope, and then postcards. Since we're primarily focused on mailing, I'm going to spend most of my time on letter, large envelope, and postcards, but I did want email to fit in there as well to show you, just to kind of give you a reference point. So for general marketing with no prior relationship, and you email out, a lot of you like, oh, I'm going to email my way to success. No, you're not. Email is just one of those tools that you're using, but it's not going to make you successful. Let's get that on the board right now. So you're going to get less than a 1% response rate from email. If you send out a letter, and it's just a regular old letter, you've got the computerized mailing labels and all that kind of stuff, and you have no relationship with this person, you're going to get a 1 to 3% response rate. That's industry standard, has been for years. If you send out a large envelope, I'm talking with one of those big brown envelopes or one of those big white envelopes, and it has a handwritten address label, it's going to add 5% automatically. It's going to add 5%. And so with no prior relationship, if you send out a large brown envelope or a large white envelope and it's handwritten, you're going to get 8 to 10% of those folks to actually open that envelope and respond to information within that envelope. So 10%, that's pretty darn good if you go at the high end. If you've got a prior relationship with those folks, it goes from 10 to 15%. And if it's specific, meaning the information in there is mail merged for their specific situation, you have their prior carrier, you have their date of birth, you have their information, then the rate can go up as high as 25% if it's personalized. And we'll talk about how to personalize it, but up as high as 25%. Now, postcards. And this is oversized. We've sent regular and we've sent oversized. And trust me, oversized gets a much better response than regular little postcards, the little 4x6 postcards or whatever those are. So we try to send the oversized. Basically, in today's marketing world, the bigger, the better the response. Okay? Don't go broke, but the bigger, the better the response. If you send a postcard to someone you don't know, you're going to get a 3 to 5% response rate from that. If you send it to someone that you do know, you've got a prior relationship, you'll get an 8 to 10% response rate. And if it's very specific on the postcard, then you'll get a 12 to 15% response rate. You have to be careful, though, because you can't put personalized information out on these postcards. You can put a first name, you can put a couple other little pieces of information, but you got to be really careful about putting information out on the postcards. Now, where were the results obtained from? Well, They were obtained over a period of 1 year. We went from from January 1st, 2015 to January 1st, 2016, and approximately 900,000 emails were sent within the group. 250,000 postcards were mailed. 120,000 letters were sent, and 50,000 large envelopes. So guys, when I tell you we spent a lot of money to come up with these numbers, we did a lot of money as a group. Now, we always use a unique tracking code and a call-in phone number. And you guys that are using the Data Supercenter, you know we automatically give you a marketing phone number. And when the person calls into the Data Supercenter, it automatically forwards to your phone, but we've got tracking. We know that someone called into that number, that marketing number. So we always use a unique tracking code and call-in phone number.